another little addition. What I'm doing today is the bottom bracket. I'm replacing the bearings in the bottom bracket. No particular reason, they're a bit notchy, you could feel the bearings on them. I took them out the other day, had a look at them, I'll put them back in, spun them round a few times, and you can, let me just show you this. Now, what you need to do is, when you take the bearings out, you take it out usually on the opposite side of the drive side. So what I do is I pass a screwdriver through, rest it against the bottom of the bearing, and just gently tap it at the bottom and then at the top, and then just gently ease it out. Now you can see I've left it like that so that you can see where the bearing sits in, so you can see the contacts. Now if you look closely, you'll see a discoloration in the grease. That's water. What you'll find is that if it's not clean, like the green, and it's got a little discoloration in it, it usually means there's water in there somewhere that's got in. And what I've done is I've cleaned the bearings. So I've cleaned them all up, and again you can see there's been some water in there because you've got a little bit of pitting on the outside. They feel okay, but they don't feel super smooth. That one there, super smooth. This one here, obviously where the water's got in, feels a little bit notchy. You can feel the bearings inside. And again, these are the waterproof sealers on the outside. And you can see on this one that it's all flexed up and pitted up. So they come with a new set. The new set comes with your bearings, comes with some more sealers, comes with inner hoses. Now let me show you this. This is inner shoes, and what you'll find is an inner shoe pulls out and protects the inside of the carbon frame from getting any crap and shit in it. And then there's two of them, and there's the other one. There. So, you know, they come with these inner shoes. Not quite sure what the purpose is of these, but for the sake of doing the bearings, I'll replace them. You can probably see all around me packing up, getting ready to move, but I wanted to get this done. I've got a big ride on Sunday. I wanted to get this done. Like, there you go. Inside there is water, moisture, and then that's come off of the bearings, as you can see. So what I'll do is I'll give it a good clean up. You can see the drain hole at the back there, which is also a fixing screw for this. But what I'll do is I'll clean it all out, dry it all up, and then put the new bearings in. Okay, right, so I've cleaned up the areas for the new bearings. As you can see, all clean. A little bit of abrasion on the outside here, but that is from when my crank went on the first few weeks. But it's not going to have any effect. Okay, so I've cleaned it all up, and what I've done now is just made it completely clean and dry from inside. So the next step that I'll do is I've made sure this is clean, which is the crank itself. Now on here is a little seal. All I'm going to do is leave that as it was. I've put all the old bearings in there and the seals. I'll probably just clean those up and keep them to one side. I'm using bearing juice. I have used a different brand of lube or grease before. Bear with me. Okay, so I'm using this, and it's horrible. Well, I say it's horrible, it's grease, bearing and crank grease. So the next step is to get the bearings installed and set up. So I'll take these out. Not the easiest thing to do one-handed, but there you go. Now the washers I don't tend to need because they weren't on there, so I'm not going to use them. But let me just show you what these should look like. That's what they should look like. Nice and firm, not all pitted, and can you see it all ruffled on the outside edge there? They shouldn't be like that, but there you go. So we're replacing all of them. New bearings, Enduro. Not too bad, 20 quid each. What for the pack? Should have been 30 odd quid, I think, but I think I managed to grab an opportunity at the bike shop at the time. So I'm going to cover these in grease. I'll install the sleeves and we'll get back to you in a second. Okay, so now what I've done is I've replaced the old grease and the shoes with the new grease, and as you can see I've gone over the top. That's just me, I like going over the top. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grease these up, the new bearings, which smooth as my arm. I was going to say something else there, but I can't. Anyway, super smooth, super smooth. So I'm going to grease these a little bit, not too heavy, just nicely. These are Enduro bearings. See them all right? I'll get these in. See how this goes. Okay, so bearings are in. Now what I find with the bearings is when you get at them so close, it's not recommended, but if you've got a rubber mallet, then just give them a gentle tap in, because they'll just need to be pushed in that little bit extra to push it in. But yeah, so tap it in, then give them a good coating in the grease. Then what you do is you get your seals. These, ideally you want to put a little bit of grease on these as well, so I'll put some grease on these and then push them in. Okay, so a little bit of grease on there, any little bits remove. Joys of having dogs is you get hairs in there. You want to try and get these as clean as possible, so any fibres or hairs, don't let them get in there. Okay, so then these go on here, and what happens is that pushes in and creates a seal, and then what I do is just goes round it with the grease and give it a nice good coating with grease over the top of that. Now you might be aware or not aware, grease is a water, it keeps the water out. Over time water will penetrate into the grease. This is why it's always handy to know how to take it apart and service your bike. Now these should last for a good 1,000 miles plus. Some people don't change them at all. They never change them. However, I'm a little bit more with the OCD when it comes to servicing, cleaning and maintaining my bike. However, and that is why my bike is so quiet and so pain-free of problems. I look after it. And if you look after your bike, even when you come to sell it, you'll be able to demand a little bit more money for it. Okay, so that's ready for the crank to go through. I'll do the other side and then we'll put the bike back together. Okay, so what I've done now is I've pushed the main crank piece through and just literally just pushed it through. So I'm rotating it a few times, letting it rotate, making sure there's no friction. Now you can hear the grease moving. You can hear, if you listen carefully. Now that is the inner sleeve rotating. Now that will disappear, but what I'll probably do is take it out and just give it a little bit more grease. As you're aware, movement will cause anything to wear without a bit of lubrication. So this is literally just pushed on at the end. Now what you'll find is when I take this off, you'll see where the rubbing was. wobble that off. And just take this off, hold on. Okay, so I'm just taking it off. Just checked it all over, give it a little clean again. Well, not a bit more grease, and it's there, perfect. Now that is lovely and quiet. So the next thing I'll do is I'll tighten these up. So literally I've just pushed these together so they fit. Then I'll tighten these up. So I'll turn it quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, and just keep tightening them until they're both at the right level. And then it says on here, equal each bolts evenly, equally tightened to 12 to 14 Newton meters with a torque wrench. So that will be my next step. I'll be putting that, tightening up, and then putting the cap on. Okay, so next step is the torque wrench, and what I'll do here is I'll adjust the torque wrench. So push that in. It's a bit tricky to do with one hand. Yeah. 13. Okay. So I've taken it to 13. So 12 to 13. So I'll tighten that one a little bit. Tighten that one a little bit. Tighten this one a little bit. Okay, so that is tightened up. The next thing is this. Now, a lot of people get confused with this. This is just an end cap. All it does is just tightens into here. It just screws in to stop the dust and crap getting in there. That's all it does. That's all its purpose is. To screw in. Like I say, it's difficult when you've got one hand. And it's difficult when I've lathered it up full of grease. So let me put that. There we go. So, just to recap, let me just go over it again. When you come to strip this back, the first thing you do is undo these two bolts here and here. There, squeeze together, which grip the crank that comes through. Then undo this, then pull this off, then just tap this out, which will pull the crank right out. Then your bearings come out as I showed you. Then it's just a case of stripping your bearings out, putting your new bearings in with your sleeves, putting it all back on. So putting your bearings in, put your covers on, put your crank through, then fix your second arm on. Gently nip them, put your centre nut in, then tighten them up to the recommended torque settings, and then just clean it up, and then that is it. And that now moves smooth and free. Beautiful. And that's it. That's how I do my bearings. So write in, pick fault, give me some tips. Just trying to show how I do my best. I've done the headset bearings recently. That's all new, as you can see. Pretty much the same way. You just literally take this off, undo this, take these off, take this out. It all drops out. Remember to take these off, the brakes. A lot easier. And then just replace them. But that is it. That is how you maintain your bike. Now she's ready for the summer. Just got to get the wheels on, chain on, ride it.